Good evening. Good evening, my very, very dear friends. I am very happy to be with you today. And I hope you can hear me and you can see me well. I was reading all the beautiful messages you've left during this waiting time. I was waiting together with you. Hi, Ken. Hi, Trev. Hi, Francois. And I'm really happy that you've made it. And we will be able to spend this hour together talking about the things that we consider important in our friendly community. And today we have all the magnificent troll hunting crew together. And I'm very grateful to have in my life Martin and Spencer and Rudy and Philip and of course Sir Michael. So thank you so much for joining. And I'm happy to read all your greetings from very many different places, from Liverpool and from Oslo and from New York and from Spain and from Izmir and so many different places, so many different countries. Greetings to North Carolina, Pivnichna Carolina, and Sydney and Nice and thank you so much to the people of Australia and New Zealand who wake up really early to watch it. Greetings to Chicago and to Portugal and Canada. And okay, I will read it. Hemskerk, Hemskerk, and to Belize, unbelievable, and to Copenhagen. So many good people from Denmark, right? Martin. And thank you so much, Neil, for sharing your condolences to the people in Odessa. And unfortunately, it's not just Odessa. Many Ukrainian cities were targeted today and the day before. Thank you so much, Johnny. By mixed ballistic missiles and by drones. And you know that they always target civilian objects. In Odessa, it was a very beautiful hotel and close to 15 different buildings in the center. And you know that the center of Odessa is a UNESCO heritage place, which is another reminder to all the good people that Russia is not the country to negotiate with. Thank you so much, Serkan. Teşekkür ederim. And thank you, Blondie. And greetings, Pat. I've noticed you on the chat. So thank you so much for spending your time together with me today. And maybe greetings to Wales. And I believe we are in a very turbulent time right now. What makes me optimistic, as someone mentioned, greetings, Adam, cześć to Poland and good people, and greetings to Finland and California. And I think it is extremely important to stay united because there are so many different news, and one moment you feel very optimistic, another moment you feel very pessimistic. And I will have one more video today about this peace plan and, you know, all the new talks that we see right now. And I honestly can tell you that I like all of that, especially when I hear that we are talking about, you know, like two countries have to compromise. It does not work well for me because obviously, we are a country that simply protects the borders, protects life and our people. And that is why it is very, very important to stay united and to help the Ukrainian Armed Forces, because what they are doing is amazing. And if you agree with me, please like the video so more Russian trolls can see it. Greetings, AJ. And as we have all the team of troll hunters today, they will be able to do that. You know that I often ask you to be careful of scammers. They can appear on channel and typically they invite you to private conversations. I never do that. I don't have time for that, unfortunately. So never follow people who invite you to WhatsApp, Telegram, or something like that. But whenever we have a fundraiser, I always speak about that. Greetings to Romania, stay strong. You also have your dangers. And today I want to introduce you to one really beautiful fundraiser. We have not worked together with this really great crew. This will be the very first time that our community joins Ukraine aid operations. They have a very big page on X, a smaller channel here, and I will share with you in the comments. And I see that my amazing moderators are doing that already. So this is an official link where you can donate or even get patches. But I want to introduce you to this very interesting campaign, and I was actually honored that we are going to help 81 and 82 brigades. They are super famous here in Ukraine. Everybody knows them because they are working in the most complex environment in Kursk region. And if you want to, like make liberate Kursk and like help Ukraine, please consider supporting this campaign. It's very important for me personally. And they are, like, I will read the introduction of this 81 and 82 brigades. They are airborne troops. They are fighting near Kramatorsk. 81 and 82nd Air Assault Brigade is fighting in Kursk, and that is so cool. And they belong to the elite of the armed forces of Ukraine. They are highly trained. They are operating at the most critical part of the front, and they also operate close to Russian enemy FPV drones, and that's why they need jammers. These are specific tools that actually help stop Russian FPVs and protect more lives of Ukrainian people. And also evacuating vehicles are always needed, and some surveillance drones. All the description you can find following the link, but I greatly encourage you to participate in this fundraiser because we're working for the amazing people. These are true heroes, and I want these heroes to be safe and alive. Ukraine has too many heroes in the heaven. We need some living happy people who will make the history of Ukraine, and these guys are doing it. I will personally join the campaign too. And thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you so much, Trev, for buying me coffees. Yeah, airborne all the way, Mitchell, thank you so much. And that is why during this time of the campaign that it will last, greetings to Istanbul. I will keep sharing the link, but it will always be official in the comments. It will be pinned. And whenever you feel like worried, whether it's me or scammers, you can either write an email, you can ask moderators. They are very careful and helpful with that. They are actually amazing people, not just like a great team, but they are truly amazing people. And the world is happy to have such fighters for democracy and justice. And also you can always, the easiest way is to check the name. Is it the same than on the channel? Is it the same than on X and so on? All the official links you always find in the description of the video. You know that description is the one written by me, so no one can spoil the information. Another very good way to be safe and sound and inside our community is definitely to join that Discord. I know that Martin, I know that Michael is working hard to preserve that environment safe and very effective. I am like the video that I have recorded for today, and you will be able to watch it a little bit later, is the reaction to some of the words of Marco Rubio and General Kellogg. If I have some friends now watching us from the United States, let me know in the comments below how seriously should I take some of these messages. And it's a mix of good and bad messages, but for me as a Ukrainian, it feels very painful whenever people keep equating Ukraine and Russia. Thank you so much, Johnny, and glory to the heroes. Whenever I will quote AJ, who says that moderators are the best. Yes, they are. They are my personal moderators. They moderate a lot of stuff in my head too. And anyway, I do have this feeling of weakness, and I don't like it because at this moment we cannot afford weakness in politics, in diplomacy, and Russia watches that, and most importantly, Russia is very weak, and it is the moment to crush it and destroy it, and it would be very wrong not to use the opportunity. And I think that my task today is actually to demonstrate you that the things are very bad for Russia. And it would be insane to stop this war and to appease Putin, to give him what he wants, or something like, I don't know, not to punish and to forget about the war crimes. Thank you so much, Dan. Well, there are rumors that Trump and Putin were talking, and it's no surprise, like it's obvious. It will happen, taking into account how many times Trump is speaking about the need to talk to Putin. But I personally don't like the fact that Putin is out of his isolation. And that Putin is treated like a politician or a leader of a country, when in reality he is a war criminal. He is a mafioso. He is a dictator. He is at power in his country for like 25 years. And he is responsible for the matter of so many people. Even if you don't care about Ukrainian lives, think about millions of Russian lives. And the fact that he is negotiated with as a politician and as a leader with whom you can negotiate is already a position of weakness. And what I personally don't like too, even without the potential results of the negotiations, is the fact that, and Syrian lives, thank you so much, Simon, you are very right, and so many, and Georgian and Chechen, and so many people in other parts of the world that actually do not know that they were harassed or violated by Russia, because they influence a lot of places. And so one thing that I don't like is that with such approach, Putin is out of his isolation. And number two is that it's not Putin who is looking for a conversation. It's not Putin who keeps saying, I will speak with that, I will speak. So it is not, once again, a position of strength. It does not look strong and good. And we'll see what happens, because once again, my life has taught me that things you talk about do not always turn out the way you talk about them. And it may be one of the greatest discoveries for President Trump that actually there are no instruments apart from the military instruments that we can use to stop Russian aggression. And once again, not just against Ukraine, but also against the world. Because in this case, many countries, they have to work as police already, or I don't know, some other services. It's not just about violation of human rights and human life in Ukraine. It's about the disrespect, brutal disrespect of the world order, and lots of strengths and dangers to other countries. Thank you so much to Balkane. Thank you so much for your sponsorship to so many good people. But what is also worth mentioning is the context in which we are talking about the appeasement of Putin or potential negotiations, when you might have noticed since 2025, we have targeted so many of the Russian oil refineries. And sometimes when I start working on my video, it takes some time to go through the most important news. Thank you so much, Daniel. To go through so important news, to go and choose what is the most, like the top news for us in Ukraine and aloha. And then I start reading and I see so many evil targets destroyed inside Russia. Then I watch their videos. I don't know if some of you are on like Telegram or other social media like that. I do not advise you to spend much time there. Thank you so much, Duncan. And at the same time, such channels, they allow non-censored videos, and you can clearly see how desperate Russians are when they observe these attacks on their military objects. Once again, Ukrainians are not orcs, and we never target their civilian objects. And we always precisely choose what we want to neutralize. Thank you so much, Tony, for buying me coffees and the first moment to sip some cola. So, you know, but thank you so much, Godan. Thank you. I hope I pronounced the name properly. It's always my problem because, you know, like, I love you people and I don't want to mess up. So in this just like months, less than a month, we have destroyed so many different oil refineries, reaching them very deep inside Tatarstan, for example, and that is more than 1,000 miles away from the Ukrainian border, and also destroying very big ones that are very important for the Russian oil industry. Thank you so much, Blue Neptune. And greetings to Osaka, Japan. Japan is so far away from Ukraine, but that is definitely a country I would love to visit. I know it's not easy, but maybe I will publish a book and I will become a serious author and it will be easier to travel. And greetings to Shabona Lake, another place that I dream to visit, and your aliens. So I think it is extremely important to think not just about these objects. And I know we love Russian geography lessons when we discover more about the locations based on the destroyed objects there. Greetings to Brussels. It is very important to speak not about these locations or the number of oil refineries, but some conclusions that come together with that. So first of all, we see that Russia was not prepared to defend itself. This is a classical behavior of the bully, and this also speaks about the lack of air defense systems in Russia. So when they were talking about themselves as the second biggest army in the world, it was definitely an exaggeration, a very big exaggeration. But unfortunately, many of the politicians still keep thinking in this way. Thank you so much, Marcos, for the sponsorship of so many good people on the channel in our community. So what we see that Russia has air defense around Moscow, maybe St. Petersburg. These are the cities that Putin considers like serious, and he to some extent cares about people in Moscow and St. Petersburg, not because he likes the people or he cares about their life, but because he does not want protests so close to the Kremlin. And that is why they do not mobilize people from these districts. They try to avoid any attacks, but still Ukrainian drones are visiting Moscow and Leningrad, St. Petersburg region for many times already. But what we see right now is that they clearly sent all of their air defense to the front lines, Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk regions, and they do have some of their defenses once again around these big cities. And of course, perhaps you can identify the location of Putin's bunkers by the number of air defense systems around them. So where Putin stops, they have this additional air defense to protect him or his doubles. I was not a person who believed in doubles, but with dictators, it may be very real. By the way, another like psychological trick or something that is dangerous for us. We judge politicians, we judge state information, we judge actions based on our normal life, on our normal experience. But when you when you come in contact with authoritarian regimes, with dictatorships, where a crazy Kremlin goblin can kill soon 1 million of his countrymen and you don't see any reaction, sure, you cannot predict, or you cannot like analyze or come to some conclusions about this country, because it acts totally different as any of us saying would. And so conclusion number one is that they don't have enough air defense in Russia to protect their military objects and to protect their oil refineries. I think it's obvious for anyone watching, even those who support Russia, that they do want to protect their military plants, they do want to protect their arsenals, they do want to protect their oil refineries, because they need it. Their economy is on the brink of the collapse, and it's very visible. It's all over the Russian internet. It's a very negative image, and they can do nothing. That is why these oil refineries keep exploding. And my favorite thing is when we actually strike one and the same of their oil refineries twice or three times. I think this once again proves that even understanding that Ukrainian drones know the way, that Ukrainian drones have targeted it and not once, there is nothing they can do. And that is why we keep destroying them. Together with huge storages of oil that is destroyed, we destroyed the capacity to produce oil products. And I know that the majority of you are very clever people here, and you know that it's more expensive to sell oil products than to sell oil, raw materials. And that is why, by destroying the oil refining industry, various elements that they need for the production, or some additional things like ethanol, like some storage of that, we also paralyze the industry. And I have read about a number of Russian oil refineries that listen to Brandon and like the video so that more people can hear the truth. And thank you so much, someone, for buying me coffee. And so not only would destroy the storage of oil that they can use to fuel military machine or to sell abroad, but we actually break their production capacities. And this is where sanctions also help us, because sometimes, and this global isolation of Russia, because sometimes they need to change details, and these are very precise, very scientifically developed details that they cannot produce in Russia, because Russia is not the country many believed it was, based on Soviet myths, based on Soviet propaganda. And by destroying some strong elements, they need to buy them abroad, let's say from France or Netherlands, and they cannot do it because of sanctions and isolation. And that is another very important reminder why it's so important. Thank you so much, Voxpedia. That is another reminder why it's so important to keep sanctions and to keep Putin in his global isolation. And that is why I'm worried about this messages sent that like, we will talk. And I don't know if you have come across this quote, or maybe it was just like wrong translation in the Ukrainian media, but it was about Trump saying that me and Putin, we will do something good together, like meaning like we will stop the war. But I'm sorry, Putin is the one who did all this evil and keeps doing it, and he won't be stopped. Once again, if we make a bad ceasefire here in Ukraine, countries like the Baltics are in danger. Do I have some people watching us from Estonia or Lithuania? Thank you so much, Desert Fox, and greetings to Rocky Mountains. That is the place I would like to visit, because mountains is what I love. They are very beautiful. But whenever I am high in the mountains, there is a thunderstorm, and I have my close people joking on me that I'm a witch, because in Ukrainian mythology they believe that that when a witch is up in the mountains, it is just but please don't unsubscribe, I'm a kind witch, even if. And okay, I am totally happy if it's about hidden cards and some hidden plan, but we don't know. And the only thing that I don't like is when people speak about Ukraine and Russia is like, I don't know, people who quarreled. Come on, guys, he destroyed lots of our cities. He destroyed lots of the lives of our best people. Thank you so much, Serkan. Thank you. And so that is why it's not about just like justice, but it's also about safety and security of the world. And I was asking if I have some viewers from the Baltic countries, and you're so kind to me, like I'm having a good magic and like I'm a cute witch. Thank you, people. And people even like thunderstorms. A fairy, yeah. So anyway, if any bad peace is achieved for Ukraine, of course, Russia will invest billions in the destabilization of my country, like politically, what they do in Georgia, what they do in Slovakia, what they do in Romania. I know I have people watching from Romania. You were sending greetings, and greetings back to you. And why it's so obvious that if anything like bad happens to Ukraine, that will continue. And countries like Poland, countries like Finland, okay, and I think that now countries like Denmark understand that we should not allow the rule of force, the rule of power, become that strong, and that it's so important to preserve laws and agreements, because that is a kind of like evolution of the world. That's what we try to achieve. Yeah, and I will quote Pat that the criminal war should not be regarded as a standard negotiation deal. Totally agree with you. So I think like the topic of witches got more interesting support than the topic of negotiations, and personally I like it. And so I'm sure that people will agree with me. Those people who've tasted what Russian Empire is, they agree that appeasement, and I'm sorry, it's not just appeasement. It's not just appeasement, it's like forgiving all the war crimes and prizing the country with like new territories, new Ukrainian people, or what. It's very unjust. And just like, I have people mentioning Versailles Treaty. And don't you think that appeasing evil, letting Russia get Ukrainian territories, will lead to more catastrophes and tragedies? Why don't you think this encodes a conflict? And stop being afraid of the collapse of Russia. The collapse of the USSR did not bring anything bad. What brought bad is the fact that the world decided to choose Russia as the guarantor of peace and security there, and decided not to interfere and hoped that Russia will evolve in the democracy. It failed. I often think about this 90s. Thank you so much, Gregory. I often think about this. Thank you so much, sister, about Ukrainian wishes. But it's not only about Ukrainian wishes. It is already an open global crime that Putin is constantly committing. And it's about rules by which we live on the planet. It's just like when you have a murderer killing someone of your neighbors, do you want to catch that murderer just because you want justice for your neighbor, or also because you want to protect your family? Also because you know murderers must be caught and punished and imprisoned. I choose this kind of logic. It's not just about being kind and understanding for Ukraine. And I agree with Bogdan that USSR did not crash hard enough. And most importantly, many people in Ukraine, I don't know if Bogdan is from Ukraine, but sounds like, many people forget that lots of these countries actually got independence, and many of us in Ukraine right now believe that we are fighting for our independence because the moment the USSR collapsed, the Kremlin started developing the plan of how to restore this monstrous Frankenstein. And that's what they are working right now, and that is why it's not about part of Ukraine. It's not about, just have a look at in how many countries Russia decided to bring this like conflicts with quasi republics and other things. And you can see like Moldova and Transnistria. This is a totally Russia-funded project. Then we have Georgia with South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Then we have Chechnya that wanted to be independent but was totally, and actually won the first Chechen war. And then they used awful violence and put Kadyrov, who is not the choice of the Chechen people. And then we have a next Belarus, and all of these problems. Then yeah, and well, we have smart people from Romania saying that they don't want border with Russia. It's better to have it with Ukraine. Why? Because you know we will not attack you. So how can you equate like Ukraine and Russia in negotiations or anything? And I know that so many people, like in Poland, and even in Hungary, would not want to border with Russia. And that is another proof why we need to preserve Ukraine and to preserve strong Ukraine. And Neil says that we need more likes, and who am I to object? Also, remember to join me on other social media like X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads. All the links that you need are in the description of this video. And by following them, you can actually protect yourself from various scammers because these are official pages. And by joining them, you know that is me, not some evil witch. And so coming back to our attacks on oil refineries, first of all, this is a demonstration that Russia lacks air defense and Russia is totally unprepared to defend itself. That is actually why it was so easy for the Ukrainian troops to cross the border of the Russian Federation and to stay in Kursk region. What is interesting, even Russian ombudsman was reporting about the kindness and good attitude of the Ukrainian armed forces towards the Russians. And I think it was something very unusual for the Russians because they don't treat each other good. And also Putin sent lots of Kadyrov troops to Kursk. They escaped, but at the same time looted a lot of Russian houses, which is another proof. Which is another proof that what is like this great civilizational gap between the way we treat human life and the way they do it in Russia. And Chechnya, Siberia, Georgia, there are so many, like Russia consists of 24, if I'm not mistaken, maybe in 26 national republics. And if we look at Tatarstan, is, for example, just like Tatarstan is the one that Ukrainian drones visit very often. Because right now there are lots of military production plants there, and specifically they have a lot of drone assembly companies there. And in 1990s, Tatarstan voted to become independent from Russia, and they wanted They wanted independence. They wanted their own country, and they have their own, they have their own Tatar language. Many of them are, like the majority of them are Muslim. They have different traditions, different social organization. They have their beautiful cultural heritage, and Russia destroys all of that. And actually, Putin was one of those who worked really hard not to let Tatarstan become fully independent. And when he came to power in 2000, lots of articles in the Tatarstan constitution, together with Tatarstan constitution, disappeared. When you think that you are afraid of, the collapse of the Russian Federation, why do you forget about these countries? That there are so many countries that are positive towards you, countries that can sell gas, oil towards you, countries cheaper prices and with no, blackmail or terror, countries that simply want to practice their cultural rights, and our world will become richer and more beautiful with them. It was serious work of the Russian propaganda to create this image that Russia is the same, and that it is all one big country. And those of you who traveled or who read books about the Russian Federation, the largest country in the world that actually does not need any new territories because they don't cope with the territories they have. So this big country actually consists of so many people's republic, and that is like a chance to make this world actually safer. And I think this will happen. I personally believe the process is already irreversible. And what is really bad, that people still hesitate and often believe old Russian fakes. Thank you so much, Larry, for the coffee and your support. Yeah. 7 time zones. My book is on the stage of showing it to some publishing houses and looking for a literary agent. But it can take long. Maybe I will need to rewrite something. If there are any real literary agents, I'd be very interested, because it's not that problematic to publish, but I'm more interested in like PR and stuff, to make it more visible and actually to debunk lots of Russian narratives, because this book explains a lot. So if you help me with that, and it's like crazy, but just like if you can advise me like an online teacher or a link to some online school of the Spanish language, I will be grateful. I feel like I know a little bit of Spanish and I want to work on it a little bit better. Well, I did not say that like Penguin Press would be my dream. Honestly, that's the publishing house I pray for. But I realize that I'm not that good at, I don't have this author's name. I'm not yet trustworthy, so I have to work harder before I reach Penguin Books. But that would be a dream. Make people from Penguin subscribe. How do I make them subscribe? That would be really great. And so anyway, coming back to our strategy and to demilitarize and defeat Russia, just think about that. So first of all, they are vulnerable. They don't have air defense. Their own population knows that, because they see these explosions and destructions and loud detonations on various objects, and there are videos with very bad Russian language commenting on that. And most importantly, they understand that everything is not going according to Putin's plan, and that Putin does not have a plan to protect them. It's just good that Ukrainians are kind and target only legitimate military objects. That is actually a blessing for the Russian people. And we're working on that. We are destroying them. We are burning them. We return to lots of their military objects twice or three times. We keep destroying these oil refineries that they need, and there is nothing they can do. There is nothing they can do. And most importantly, we do that with inexpensive Ukrainian drones. With inexpensive Ukrainian drones and with lots and lots and lots of limitations. I missed greatly. I missed it greatly. The targeting of oil refineries. And those of you who are attentive, thank you so much, Tony. Those of you who are attentive, you might have noticed that during the US election campaign, there were almost none. And I have this bad suspicion that maybe we were asked not to do it, not to target Russian oil refineries because, escalation management or something like that. Because if you compare the number of strikes on Russian oil refineries during this weeks of 2025, well, you can clearly see there are way many. And once again, when preparing for a video, writing some things that I want to tell you, checking the numbers, checking the messages, I think about this limitations and how many things we could have done without any limitations, and that it is very, very unjust. Like if you have this, you cannot use this, you cannot use that, you cannot target that. And thank you so much, David. And there were jokes like, sometimes we do have a feeling that Russia is more protected than Ukraine. But that will change, and we keep destroying that evil object. And so, conclusions that I want us to draw together. Vulnerability of Russia, lack of air defense. They are totally unprepared to protect themselves. Inexpensive Ukrainian drones now can reach deep inside the Russian Federation. We can target one and the same object a number of times. They repair something, we return back. Most importantly, apart from the destruction of this oil storages, we also destroy oil refining production facilities, and that is a huge problem for the economy. Thank you so much, Custom Fantasy. That is a huge problem for the industry, taking into account that Russia is a dig and sell economy, another big problem. And combined with US sanctions. Thank you so much, Marcus, and cheers to you. So it is a moment to destroy this evil empire and to make the world a safer place. And it is a moment when they start talking about both sides need to compromise. No, that is definitely wrong. And just think about all these locations that we set ablaze during this week. And I also hate it when politicians who have never been to Ukraine speak about the destroyed country. And the moment when Marco Rubio was saying that Ukraine was taken back 100 years ago. Have you been to Ukraine 100 years ago? It was definitely a worse place with Bolsheviks trying to create this monstrous Soviet Union. That is actually one of the times when our problems begin. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I remember now at the moment when he speaks this very untrue things based on no practical experience, never visiting real Ukraine. We were destroying Russian command points in Kursk and setting ablaze dozens of their oil refineries. And you think how much this media violation, manipulation influences in the public opinion. And that is why our communities are so important, because we can explain some things to others, and I feel very like angry when I'm not asked this as a Ukrainian. And you can see it, like he says, like in that interview, they don't have electricity at all. You know, when we have electricity outages, you have witnessed that with me. You have seen it. So, do you feel safe that they have nuke and they can do whatever they want because they have nuke? So they can come to your house because you won't use your nuke because you think they are crazy? That's insane. We cannot allow this happen. We can get nukes, you know. I think that's the plan. If the world abandons Ukraine, I guarantee you that it's not just Ukraine that will develop nukes, and we have potential for that. It will be many other countries. Actually, by appeasing Russia, by negotiating with Putin and giving him what he wants, many countries will start working on nukes because they will understand only having a nuke protects you. So I guarantee you that we will work on that. And I think that will be a very smart decision. I will support that with all my hands. And yes, we made most of the Russian nukes and most of the Russian rockets and most of the Russian aircraft and most of the Soviet army in times of the Second World War. And they know it. And that is actually why they so desperately want Ukraine back. Because Russian Empire, all of the Russian Empire, all of its territories, all of its fake glory is impossible without Ukraine. Have you ever thought that Ukraine, a much smaller country, does not want to be any part of Russia, does not want any access to its natural resources, gas and oil? And have you thought why? And why Russia, so big, so strong, so successful, so desperately needs Ukraine? Just think about it. I think that is a very vivid illustration. And yes, it was a mistake that we gave up nukes, but it was a very positive tendency. If the world was a safe and just place, many other countries should have followed our example. But if we demonstrate that, like the one that has nukes decides, what will stop other countries from developing nukes? Just tell me why. Lack of knowledge. Come on, I've read an article about a small guy that FBI, it seems to me, visited because he developed some nuclear reaction at home. Everything is possible if you want it. And, with the background, with this like knowledge, with Ukrainian developers working on that, it wouldn't be so bad. But of course, it's better to live in a place that does not want nuclear weapons, that it is better to live on a planet when countries act like Ukraine in the 90s. And now everybody's laughing at our Budapest Memorandum when in reality we were an example of a good country. We were an example of the very conscious people who gave up evil weapons. But what's the price for that? Yes. What's the price? And that is why I personally believe it's much better to invest in drones because they are working, they are effective, they destroy Russian oil refineries, they destroy Kursk command points, and at the same time, they are not so dangerous as nuclear weapons. And Rudy reminds us about a new fundraiser that we run with Ukrainian aid operations. It is my first time, that always we work with NEFO and I love them greatly, but I decided to try with our community this new fundraiser, and I was super honored and very happy to support the elite of Ukrainian army, and that is the 81st and 82nd brigades. These are airborne brigades, and they are operating in the most dangerous locations on the front line, and that is, of course, in Kursk. So if you want more updates from Kursk, I mean, like how we destroy their command points with drones, that is definitely a good option, and you can also get some patches. Thank you so much, Custom Fantasy, and your advice. Please avoid Russian grifters like Konstantin from inside Russia. Well, I honestly do not know. Like maybe when I was asking you about Russian oppositioners and people who work really hard, uh, like I can think of maybe Hari Kasparov, just because he's always against, not just against Russian war, but he speaks about that war crimes. I still find some mistakes that he's making about Ukraine, but in total, he's not just like anti-Putin. He speaks about Russian war crimes, and all the other people. Well. Guys, please, you can have your tastes, but in my comments, you might have noticed I don't take interviews of Russian people. And there are a lot of these new harassment shows on YouTube and on television where they take a lot of Russian propaganda trolls and put a Ukrainian and they want to fight and they demonstrate it. Um, and I was just like, invited to a couple of such, and I will say no, because all this intentional disrespect, all this intentional harassment, um, it's very wrong. And I think that the world that is so much polarized and so many politicians that become popular, or like Elon Musk, based on this anger and negativity, and it will not last long. Even if there are some people who like it at the moment, who cheer for that in the moment, it is not the way we should communicate. It is not the way we should explain our things. And I think it will pass. I believe it will pass. Let's like we have like some minutes. I want to answer some of your questions because I am talking and talking and talking. Michael says hugs, and I like this idea. And also remember to like the video. But I would be happy if I can answer some of your questions maybe quickly, and also remind you that there are scammers on the channel from time to time, so never follow me, like I never invite you to WhatsApp or Telegram. And I will quote Carlos, who is very grateful to our fantastic moderators who remove trolls around here. They are also, like we were talking about, 81st and 82nd Brigade, that they are elite of Ukrainian army, and we have the elite of moderators. So what book I'm reading right now? That is a book about ancient Rome, and that is a book about the way people lived there. It's a nonfiction book, and it has different like pages where they answer where they answer different things, like did they fight with elephants, how tall they were, what did they wear, and so on. Thank you so much, Pat, and thank you so much someone for buying me coffees. So I am reading this book. I can actually share a photo on Instagram in the stories if you are watching, but I'm finishing, and I'm finishing the book, and the next one will be Life in the Medieval Castle. That's a best-selling book, I guess, but it's just like about life in the medieval castle, and I feel like you can identify what kind of books I like. These are nonfiction about life, and it doesn't have to be super lots of dates and lots of historical logic. Sometimes I love reading about this everyday life, and that is actually a plan for the second book. If I manage to publish this one, I have already the idea for the second one, and I think it will be more interesting than the first one. But maybe I am a lunatic. That is also possible. I don't listen to Telegram channels, honestly. The majority of the information I take from YouTube. On Telegram, I can like some of my friends will send me some explosions and other stuff. I will not advise you Telegram channels because in general, I think they are not safe. I can also visit some Russian Telegram channels, to look at what is happening. But once again, I will not advertise them here. Gary, greetings to you. I know you're a great friend. So more questions. How does it feel to be an ambassador? I have a very kind sister, and I also see that sensitive issues repeats this question. Yes, just yesterday, I have become an honorary ambassador of my native city, and it was a beautiful small ceremony in the oh my God, Fine Arts Museum, which is located in the castle of Lutsk. And I was a mayor, and 12 of us selected. My editor in chief of my daily Ukrainian newspaper the day was also one. And another one is a great like friend acquaintance of me, Ukrainian writer, Olha Olhova. And there was also a Ukrainian soccer player, Fadetsky. So I felt like really good, and I want to thank you because it is actually our community that makes me an ambassador, and your desire to know a little bit more about my country, about my city. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And just like I will share some photos in our community tab maybe tomorrow. I was a bit busy these days, and I hope like my moderators, my team, and other people will forgive me, because just like I had a lot of stuff to do and I was a little bit demotivated, with all the interviews and comments. But now I feel this new energy, and I have to tell you that all of our conversations, they always charge me, and I hope I work the same for you, because whenever I share something good, something optimistic, and you tell me like, oh, we like that, you made me feel better, I am so grateful. Whenever I make you feel better, I tell you something, I think that this exchange of good emotions, it's so, so important. I would love to visit America. Definitely. That's one of my dreams. Do you think Putin will flee when Russia collapses? And where do you think he will run to? I love this question. Belarus or North Korea? Matt, I am sure he will run to North Korea, because the moment Putin's regime collapses, Belarus is liberated. Trust me, Lukashenko knows that. And that is one of the main reasons why he is together with Putin, and also because Putin annexed Belarus. But the moment Putin's regime collapses, Belarus is liberated, and I actually am way more optimistic for Belarus than I am for example, Russia. It's too big. Thank you so much, Yoda. Thank you so much for being friend and your continued support. I haven't seen your messages. And thank you so much, Run Forest. You see, I'm running out of column. Thank you so much, Voxpedia, and you're also inspirational in your friendship. So I think you will escape to North Korea. And when I have this, like, sometimes I'm very like pragmatic, and I'm focused on my country, and I think about the things that I need to share with you. But Iris, that's a good comment. Will North Korea be big enough for two dictators? But when I start thinking about this like life, human life, I feel so sad for people in the North Korea. And I feel so sad that like we know it. We know that people suffer from malnutrition, that people are prosecuted, that we know that there are so many bad things happening, and we say we cannot do anything about that. And it's like tragic. I had a question: do I have people on the occupied territories? Do I know? Well, I think yes, not in Crimea, but I've known some people who were in Melitopol, but they left, so they managed to escape to Ukraine controlled territory. But I am sharing more about this, like an interview with a person who went through the experience on the occupied territory, in the book. And thank you so much, Gary, for your continued support and friendship. It is not just brutal. It's a crime. I think it's a huge crime, and it's a sin not to think about these people, just like not to think about people in North Korea or not to think about people, in Iran, what they go through. People who want normal life, just life. And when we close our eyes and we say that, like, it's not our war, it's just like, once again, you see a murderer killing your neighbor and you say, it's not my mother. But it can be your mother one day if you keep acting like that. And as a Ukrainian, I promise myself, that I will not be indifferent to other people, because protecting, I have shared that in our community tab and perhaps on other social media pages. It was a beautiful article by Peter Pomerantsev, where he says that standing against bully in Ukraine is standing against bully in the United States, in Australia, in Mexico. Protecting justice in Ukraine is protecting justice in France or protecting justice in space. These are universal categories. If you allow bad things to happen, thank you so much, Dave. That's amazing. Thank you for all the support. If you allow some really bad things happening to Ukrainians, you allow them globally. It's not about something smaller. So, and standing against this bully also protects you against bullying from other countries. And that is what we see. That is what we see. Sometimes people tell me, oh, maybe my country has problems now with Putin because we supported Ukraine. No, you don't have problems because you supported Ukraine. You have problems because Putin does what he wants to Ukraine and to your country. And until you do not understand that, you don't understand the essence of danger. You cannot protect yourself, because it's not just like you helped Ukraine. No, you're standing against the evil. You know that Putin does evil. You know that these are crimes. You cannot close your eyes on the crime. The moment you close your eyes on the crime, you become a partner in that crime. And you share the responsibility, and you actually invite the evil into your home. And I think that so many problems and so many things are happening because unpunished evil grows. That is the universal truth. I think that Joe Rogan and Lex Fridman, I think about Lex Fridman. I don't know Joe Rogan that well. I cannot watch him long. That there are the support of some services, special services, and some special money that made them prominent voices. It's not that much of, a talent or something. It's a work. Thank you so much, Serkan. And these are bad connections. I would not like a larger audience together with some bad connections. I'm so happy to be independent. Thank you so much, Peter, for your continued support and for the coffees. I am so happy that our community is not artificial, that we don't have bots pushing some narratives. I am so happy that I can say whatever I want, and that, like, in my team, Sasha, who helps with filming the videos that you don't watch a lot, I mean, like Russian Paradox, Soviet Myths Debunks, and so on, and that I have a friend and a colleague who helps with the thumbnails, with the security. He has a name like Digital Advisor, and that's it. And none of us dictates what to say, what to think. And this kind of freedom is a blessing. And it gives me this feeling that, despite all the hardships, I feel okay, with me, in peace with me. And I know that our community, it's genuine. It's just because you think the way I do, or you want to know some things. Maybe we differ in some approaches, but in general, we respect each other, we learn from each other, we care about each other. And that is the greatest achievement. And that's what makes me feel so proud, more than anything else. Yeah. So I'm very, very grateful for all of your, super chat is not available. And I don't know, they say that the connection is not very good on my side. Freedoms are what you're fighting for, and that is so true. I don't know, maybe there was some problems with connection. That's what I've read. And perhaps that's the time to let you enjoy the day, and also remember to watch the next video. It will be my reaction to some of the messages of Kellogg, and also huge attack of Russia on Ukraine today in the context of this potential appeasement and negotiations. I think that is a humiliation to all the good people who tried to stop this war, and that is a true illustration of Russian attitude. Also, remember to support our new fundraiser. I will be very grateful, because that is what really works, and Ukrainian drones and jammers to protect Ukrainian fighters in Kursk are vital. Join the cause, and I will pin this link in the comments, and trust the ambassadors. They always speak about that. I'm very grateful for your support. Come to my other social media platforms. The Blue Sky community has reached 10,000 people. Do check, the links are in the description. And Rudy, I have finally added this link to the description of the live streams. I know I was guilty in doing that. I want to thank Rudy and Philip and Martin and Spencer and Michael for all the amazing work and friendship and support. Thank you so much, Orsi. Thank you all the people who bought coffee, became patrons and sponsors. You know, your friends. Thank you so much, Pet and Hale and Yoda and Francois and Oms and Nail and so many good people. Remember to watch another video. Please share them on your social media platforms. You know that we don't have any special services, dirty money helping us with that. It's all the true and genuine work. And thank you so much, Yoda. You stay safe too. And I'm very grateful that I have you in my life. I'm very grateful that you have made me an ambassador. Maybe one day they will send me to your city, and I will try to do my best. Once again, if you can advise me, some literary agents, thank you so much, Duncan, or some Spanish language teachers, but I mean like real ones. I will be very grateful for that. And once again, be careful of scammers and support only legitimate campaigns like the one that we run right now with Ukraine aid operations. Thank you so much. You know I love you, and Slava Ukraini.